July 1st, 2025, a survey telescope bolted to a Chilean hilltop picks up a moving dot.
There are so many secrets.
Do we have the capabilities right now to track, intercept, and even respond to something non-human entering our solar system as soon as October? It's new images of 3I Atlas. 3I Atlas, a Manhattan-sized interstellar object.
Faint, fast, crossing the field of view at a speed that makes the automated detection system flag it instantly. The telescope is called ATLAS, the Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System, a NASA-funded network built to spot things that could hit the Earth. And the object it has just found, drifting through the darkness roughly 420 million miles from the Sun, inside the orbit of Jupiter, is not going to hit the Earth. It's not going to hit anything, because it's not from here. Within 48 hours, orbital calculations confirm what the astronomers already suspected. The object is moving too fast, far too fast. At roughly 70 kilometers per second, it is tearing through the solar...
All right, Shalom. As always, all praises, honor, and glory goes to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Rakaha Kwadash. Double honor to the apostles and the bishops and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and salutations to the elect, the 144,000 men, pushing the word in sincerity and truth on the highways and the byways, and to the rest of the elect, the 1/3 men, women, and children. To you I say Shalom. And I pray that this lesson is edifying to the elect and straight to the point. So as I just played, this brother here, this believer, King Faith, Hopeful Elect 144, left a comment saying, I had another request, mainly due to the chariot activity that I've got on video. I'm wondering, do you have any more information on 3I Atlas? And the scripture says we should always be ready to give an answer. So what I'm going to do is answer you and use the scriptures to back up my points. Okay, so let's read a little bit more about this 3I Atlas. And it says 3I Atlas is the perfect real-world bridge between comets and the UFO debate. Officially, it is an interstellar comet, meaning it is a natural cosmic snowball born around a completely different star system billions of years ago. So that right there is a lie, because in the beginning, in Genesis, the scriptures tell you that the earth was in full completion on the seventh day. And the scriptures also says that one day to Yahweh is 1,000 years to man, right? So knowing that the earth was completely in its full completion on the 7,000th day, right? So knowing that, since then till now, that's roughly 3,000 years max. So let's say that's 9 plus 1,000, 10,000 years the earth has been in existence, right? Don't quote me on that, but it's definitely not 1 billion years ago. That is bullshit, and that is information that Esau wickedly spreads to control the minds of the people on earth, because he is the authority, because the earth has been given into his hands. So he says these outlandish things that he cannot prove about approximately 2 billion years ago and all of that bullshit, right? So when he speaks about 3I Atlases, it's really not important, because what we know in the heavens is that the UFOs are the chariots of the Most High, the vehicles that the angels or brothers travel around the earth in, watching over the sinful kingdom and watching over the elect, withholding the good and the evil. So the 3I Atlas itself could even be a chariot, or whatever it is, because the deceiver and the deceived and the deceiver are his. Yahweh Shemi Shai deceives Esau, who is the deceiver, all the time. So my point is this: it's not important. Okay, it has nothing to do with your salvation. All right. And let me just read a little bit more. It says, however, because it has several highly bizarre physical traits, it sparked a massive wave of internet rumors and serious scientific debates about whether it could actually be a UFO or alien technology. And the first precept I'm going to read here is in Luke chapter 21, verse 25. And it says, and there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars and upon the earth, distress of nation. And those are stars. The 3I Atlas is simply a sign in the stars All right. And let me get this one here in Acts chapter 2, verse 19 says, and I will shew wonders in the heaven above and signs in the earth beneath. So again, it's a sign. It's simply a sign. And it's also a sign of the end of Esau. Okay, Esau is terrified when he sees these things because he knows that he is the devil in his spirit. He knows that he's wicked. So Esau is always saying, oh, it's going to hit the earth and we're in trouble. We got to, they're always worrying about their safety because when they don't know something, this is how they behave. They start to label it and say, well, it's moving this fast and this could happen and that. They always speculate. Okay? Again, it says, I will shew wonders in heaven above and signs in the earth beneath, blood and fire and vapors of smoke. Right? Simply put. And now that's a good one too. But let me jump to Jeremiah real quick. This is Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 2. And it says, thus saith Yahweh. Okay, so this is a commandment. Learn not the way of the heathen. You heard the heathens in the YouTube video that I was playing. You heard how they were behaving. They're terrified. They're concerned. It's like, whoa, like, it comes off like amusement and excitement, but they're really terrified. They're literally terrified at the signs of the heaven. So it says, learn not the way of the heaven, the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, because the signs of the heaven are signs. They're prophetic signs. They're signs for the elect, especially the so-called UFOs, the chariots of the Most High, which are the vehicles of our salvation. But if you have a heathenistic mindset, if you're looking at the chariots or the signs of the heaven and wondering too much about them and not understanding that they're simply signs, they're something that we should be rejoicing about, because we're definitely at the end and we're that much closer to the end if you're following the prophecies. So what's important is working out your own salvation, because these 3i Atlas has nothing to do with your salvation. But the chariots have something to do with your salvation, and that is known unto us. That is known unto the elect. All right. So again, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen, Salakia, are dismayed at them. And that word dismayed pretty much goes into being terrified, right? And it's the Hebrew word.
Strong's H 2865.
Right, and it says to be shattered. Because the UFOs are going to shatter these heathen, man. That's the spirit. And it says, be broken. Chariots are going to break these heathen, break Esau, Edom first and foremost. It says, be scared. So to be scared, all right, to terrify. So Esau is scared. That's what dismayed means, to be scared, to be terrified, be so terrified that you find comfort in reporting on these things. That's what it is with Esau. All right. So I'll just read a few more here. This is Psalms chapter 68 verse 17, and it says, the chariots of Yahweh are 20,000, even 20,000s of angels. The Lord is among them as in Sinai in the holy place. Okay, so the Lord has given the angels who hover around, I don't want to use the word hover, who travel around from corner to corner of the earth, watching over it, doing thus saith Yahweh Hashem Yahshai, because that's the instructions that were given to them. Okay, and they are 20,000, even more than that. All right, so these 3i Atlases or whatever it is, it could just be merely a chariot as well. But nonetheless, even if it's not, it's simply just a sign in heaven. All right. So the last one I have here for you is 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 12. It says, for now we see through a glass darkly. All right. We're not going to know every single thing about the creations of the Most High. of the creations of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, because Yahweh Shai, through him all things were created. You know? Again, it says, for now we see through a glass darkly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, but then shall I even know, even also I am known. Okay? So, reason why I read this is because these things that Esau professes himself or proclaims himself to know, he really doesn't know. For example, the sea. He hasn't even discovered 3% of the sea. So what makes him think that he can discover even a percentage of the heavens? He lies. Okay? So don't focus on these different reportings that Esau has to, release. Of course, we filter everything through the scriptures. So when it comes to the UFO sightings, we know what those are. We know for sure those are the chariots of the Most High, because there is a telepathic spiritual connection with us and our brothers in the chariots and Yahweh Shem Yahushai, because we're all one. So we're not concerned about anything else that Esau wants to report. He can be terrified and worried. We know that these are all signs from Yahweh Shem Yahushai, showing us that the end is now. All right, so Lord willing, that was edifying, and as always, all praises, honor, and glory goes to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakaha Kodash, Abad Babal, and Shalom.